Good morning, grade 12 learners. Welcome to today's lesson, English file. My name is Nontando Nzele. This lesson is proudly brought to you by Gauteng Department of Education. Please note there is a WhatsApp interactive number that you may use to ask questions. It's 064 748 8913. I will be focusing on the structure of paper 1 first. Comprehension is out of 30, and then we have summary out of 10, and then we have advertisement out of 10, we have cartoon out of 10, we have language and editing out of 20. So my focus is on comprehension test. Last week lesson was on literature, and the approach that was used was the iceberg approach. Now today we will be looking at the comprehension test for literature. We'll be using the iceberg approach as well when you come to questioning. And then let's look at the reading strategies when you read the comprehension. Firstly, immediately you see the title, you are going to predict what this passage is about. And then you make connection, personal connection with the passage. You visualize. When you visualize, you create a mental image as you read. And then you ask yourself questions about the passage. You clarify. As you clarify, you identify the most important ideas. And then lastly, you evaluate, that is, you make judgments about the passage that you have just read or you are reading. And then now we're coming to unlock the comprehension. How to do that? Firstly, the first step is to get the main idea of the passage. You skim through the questions. Step 3, you read the passage. And then step 4, you do your graphic organizer. In step 5, you read again. Step 6, you answer questions. Step 7, you check your questions. Now we are going to look at each step. Step 1, which is getting the gist. You skim through in order to get the main idea. Skimming through is an act of reading quickly in order to obtain an overview of what a passage is about. It's where you are going to get the source of the passage, the title, pictures, charts, and graphs if there are any, captions that are in bold, and the topic sentence in each paragraph. Step 2, when you skim through the question, you skim read, you encircle the instruction word. In each question, there is an instruction word, and it's very important to circle it or to identify it in a way, because it's going to help you to understand what is expected in that particular question. So you circle it, and then you highlight the keywords. In each question, there will be a keyword. Those keywords are going to lead you to the question as you answer the passage. Step 3, you read through the text to get the meaning by doing word cognition, looking at contextual clues, rewording sentences until it makes sense. You can use synonyms and antonyms. Consider finer details and critical language awareness. We're still on step 3. How to find meaning of a word. Let's look at the word bar. That word can mean different things in different contexts. It can describe soap. It can be a place that serves beer. It can be a sand formation at the beach. It can be a way to lock the door. So you can see that it's very important to look at the context of the passage when you find meaning. We're still on step 3. Practical steps to find meaning of the word. Circle your unfamiliar word. You are going to get unfamiliar words in your passage. And then you have to determine whether this is a root word or it has a prefix or the suffix. What part of speech is that word? And then you can get other clues from the sentence. Here are the clues. How is it punctuated? If there is a punctuation, a definition. Is there any contrast of two words in order for you to to understand what it could be? Comparison. Is there any comparison used in the sentence? Or is there an example? Right. We're still on step 3, that is reading. How to attack, do word attack skill, or use word attack skill in order to get meaning. You do that by breaking down a word into smaller sections. Let's take the word genocide, for instance. If you break that word into 2, geno plus side, you get to know that side is a killing of, and geno, one's race. So you are able to get the meaning that genocide, it's a killing of the large number of people from a race. We also have suicide. You also break it into 2 smaller parts, sui and side, and then killing of oneself. That's another way of attacking the word in order to get meaning. And then patricide. You also break it into 2, patri plus side, killing of of a father, owns father. Yes. And then text 3. Step 3, we're still on the reading of text. You can see that reading is very key. You have to be very thorough in doing it. And then framework-based clues. There's an example here that is taken from a certain passage. And then they use the word irate. You want to find the meaning of this word. Let's see. Let me read the sentence. A former employee, irate over having been fired, broke into a plant and deliberately wrecked several machines. What would the state of mind be of the employer? Suggested answer, there is a feeling of, or the character, the state of mind was characterized by anger, great anger. That is why he had to do what he did. Okay, now we're coming to step 4. How to organize, graphic organizing the passage. In Graphic Organizer, you visualize links between words and sentences in order to unlock meaning. And then still on step 4, how to organize the text. Firstly, you read the text. Secondly, you unsettle the unfamiliar words. Thirdly, you underline transition words. What are transition words? They are linking words or connecting words. And then you make notes as you read. These are the things that you do as you read. And then in step 5, you read again. In this step, you have to be in a very right mood, because that's where you have to be very, very careful. You have to dismiss all negative thoughts, make your brain to be interested in whatever you are reading, engage with the passage, read more slower than before, and then stop where you don't understand. Make notes as you read. Right. Step 6, you have to answer questions. And then we're following the iceberg approach. We have level 1 and 2 questions. These are very easy questions, very easy to get because they are in the passage. So we refer to these as the tip of the iceberg questions. They carry 12 marks and they are literal because everything you get from the passage. And then we have level 3, where you have to deduce and conclude using the evidence from the passage. It's also carrying 12 marks. We have level 4 and 5 questions. You're going deeper now. We call them open-ended questions. You use your own opinions, but remember, as you use your own opinions, you have to bear in mind the context of the passage. It's carrying 6 marks. And then level 1 questions are actually the WH questions. The who, what, where, when, why, and where. Let's look at the tips for level 1 questions. It's very important to know the keyword, the instruction word, and what it means. What is it that they expect you to do with that instruction word? Okay, for instance, you get a question that says describe. So you must know that they want you to say what it is like. Identify, that is find the answer. Illustrate, give an example. Compare, give differences or similarities. List, write in point form. Quote, use inverted commas, and copy directly from the text because it's stated that you should quote. And then in most cases now they will say quote not more than 7 words. You must make sure that the words that you quote are not more than the number that is required. And B, use your own words unless you are asked to quote. So it's very important. Most of the questions you answer in your own words unless you are asked to quote. Bear that in mind. Answering level 3 questions. You need to infer here using the evidence given from the passage. Firstly, you must read and understand the passage so that when you answer, you have to have evidence taken from the passage. Example of level 3 questions taken from the passage that was about EcoBrick. Okay, here at the first one is explain what an EcoBrick is according to this paragraph. That is paragraph 2. The second one, paragraph 3. Explain why the writer asks rhetorical questions. And then the other one, explain the meaning of unsquishable, lines 13 and 16. Discuss the effectiveness of the words cut plastic out in paragraph 5. Okay, let's look at the first one. Explain what an eco-brick is. So you are aware immediately that you cannot copy directly from the text. You have to use your own words. Look at the word non-biodegradable. You will have to say this in your own words. And then the next question was, explain the meaning of unsquishable, lines 13 to 16. You have to refer immediately to those lines and look for this word. And then you have to look at this word and try to find out what part of speech is this word. And then you find out it's a verb. And then 2. This word have a prefix, an, which means not squishable. Right. And then framework clues now. You look at the sentence as a whole. If you can squeeze, that's a connection here. If you can squeeze it by more than 10% with one hand, you should add more waste. Finally, it is no longer unsquishable. It is done. And then you see the connection. It makes it easy for you to understand when you read the sentence again and look the words that connect to that particular word that you're looking for. Answering level 3 questions. So we're still going on. Effectiveness of the word cut out plastic in paragraph 5. Why do they use cut out? Is it a literal meaning or a figurative meaning? Figurative. That is to remove. It means to remove. Why not use the word remove and use cut? It's because if you cut, you can't bring it back. If you cut, you remove it completely. So that is why the word is effective. Answering level 4 and 5 questions. These questions are referred to as open-ended questions because they need your opinion. But remember, the opinion, not just an opinion based on the text. Every time when you read, remember the context of the passage. So it will be easy to get response if you base your response on the context of the passage. Still on 4 and 5, level 5, 4 and 5. There's a question there, refer to paragraph 7 and 8. Do you agree with the writer's point of view? Substantiate your answer. On the statement is there, up there. And then the steps that you take there, you refer to the paragraph that is mentioned. We decide whether you agree or not. Remember, you cannot say, I don't agree and leave the question the answer like that. You have to substantiate. You have to give reason why you agree or why you don't agree. And then look at the marks. It's very important to refer to the marks because they will indicate to you how many points are expected. State yes or no and provide a reason based on the text. Another level 4 questions. Right, the question there is also extracted from the eco-brick. How to make an eco-brick. The steps in eliminating non-recyclable waste at home. Is it appropriate? Title. Discuss your view. Remember, when you discuss your view, you have to go back to the title. Is the title actually telling you about how to make the eco-brick? So you'll be able to say, yes, you agree with the title or not. And then discuss your view. What is the article about? And the connection between the article and and the title and the article. Okay, take note of this. Title is in two parts. It's making an eco brick and eliminating non-recyclable waste. If you say yes, I do agree, or no, you don't agree, you have to have a reason. And then step 7, you have answered your questions. You have to check your answers. What are you checking? Look at the keyword. Did you answer the question as instructed? Mark allocation. Did you write enough? Have you numbered, or have I numbered correctly? Have I written neatly? Please write neatly so that the marker is able to see what you have written. Have I skipped the line in between so that your work should be neat? Let's test if you can remember the steps of unlocking the essay. We have 7 steps. Number 1, get the gist. 2, skim through the questions. 3, read the passage. 4, graphic organizer. 5, read again. 6, answer the questions. Number 7, check your answers. Now it's time for break. Our second presenter, Renske, will come with visual literacy. Thank you.
Do you know that you are different? Do you know that your fingerprint is different? Is different from your peers, from the people that you are studying with. So do not compare yourself with your peers. Do not compare your results with what they're getting, because you are different. You have your own talents and skills, and also you have your own gifts. Embrace what you can do. Always put in the work to make sure that your results become better than what they were yesterday. But do not compare yourself, because when you compare yourself, you do not know what another person has, and they do not have what you have. So believe in yourself. You are different, and keep on putting the work.
Excellence. Excellence is a habit. Excellence is a quality you have, a quality I have. It's a quality we have when we honor what is true to us. Yes, we are gifted differently. uNkulunkulu akasinganga ngokufana. Excellence is striving for your best. Whenever you have a particular project, test, homework, uzibuze, ask yourself, is this my best? Can I put in more effort? Excellence is striving to be in the top 1% of the area in which you are gifted. And so I challenge you, in every single thing that you do, in every single area that you are gifted in, whether it's sports, it's academic, ucula, whatever that gift is, strive for excellence.
Good morning, learners, and welcome back. We're continuing with the presentation of today, and I am going to do visual literacy with you. I must just check, there's a little bit of a technical glitch. The slide doesn't want to move. Right. Visual literacy, as you know, it's part of paper 1, and 10 marks go towards the advertisement and 10 marks towards the cartoon. Now you might ask yourself, why is it necessary for us to do visual literacy? Why must we know about that? Remember, in English we teach you skills that will take you through life. So the reason for doing advertisements is so that you can actually understand that manufacturers are trying to persuade you to buy something, that they maybe use language to enforce their message, but they might actually not be telling the truth. And that is why we do visual literacy. Now, in visual literacy, we make use of multimodal texts. Multimodal simply means that it's not just only words, it's also with pictures, like in the advertisements and the cartoons. Now let's focus first on the advertisements. This is an extract from a TikTok video that was doing the rounds. And the basic message here is that a McDonald's hamburger can last for more than 20 years. It still looks brand new, as if you can eat it after 24 years. So that is the background of why Nando's then used this opportunity to design the following advertisement. They showed a picture of a moldy burger, not really edible. I wouldn't taste that. And then the next picture, the caption says, "Our peri-peri chicken burger after 3 to 4 minutes." So what is the implication? See, with advertisements, you must think all the time. What is the implication? The implication is that their burgers are so tasty, nobody would want to let it lie for 20 years. So in a way, they are convincing you to purchase their burgers. Now let's think. Do you think it was an effective advertisement? And that is the nice thing about advertisements. When we ask you for your opinion, you can be honest and explain why you thought it was an effective advertisement, but then you must link it to what is in the advertisement, or whether it is something that didn't persuade you to buy it. Now, the term for this type of advertising is negative advertising, because the advertisers send a negative message to scare people into acting, or they use something from another company to bring about or to send their own message to the consumer. Now, there are different techniques that they use when they design advertisements. And most importantly is the fact that they use emotive and persuasive means. Emotive, refers to your heart, not your intellect, your heart. And persuasive is convincing you to do something. A successful advertisement will use one of the following techniques. Appeal to your emotions. Appeal to your reason. So sometimes they will give you facts. They will present you with an opinion. But again, facts that are linked to reason. And then lastly, advertisements use creativity. Advertisement is always creative. Think about what you see in magazines or on billboards when you drive on the highway, or the ads that pop up on your phone when you're on Facebook. They are very creative. And it's because they make use of all of these things to persuade you to purchase something. And you can see that everything is interlinked. They can't they can't focus on only one aspect. They have to focus on most of these aspects. Now, let's analyze an advertisement. Here's an advertisement. It's actually a tin of bully beef, but you can see it doesn't look like the bully beef that we purchase. So now, what is the message here? There's written bully beef, but does it mean bully beef, the one that we eat? No, this is referring to bullying. And there's the message there. Bullying, and then labels are for food, not for people. Don't bully. And here a little message, kindness counts. On this side, the bully, the bullied, and the bystander speak up, implying that whether you are doing the bullying, whether you are the poor person being bullied, or whether you're just observing somebody bullying something, you are in the wrong and you must speak up by going to your teacher or going to your counselor. So, which techniques did they use? Do you think this is creative? I think it's quite creative. So for creativity, we can give them a mark. Does this advertisement appeal to your emotions? Definitely. Does it give you facts? Yes, because there are teachers and counselors at school that can assist you. And that is how we should analyze an advertisement. Let's look at another one. There's the same theme of bullying, but this one refers to words. And it is such a striking advertisement because you can see the boys in tears. And then across the advertisement, words heard. And then look at this hand. Look how cleverly they did it. They portrayed a hand with words like fool, you worthless, pig. And what is the message in this advertisement? The message is you must be careful what you say because words can hurt people. So which techniques were used? Is this creative? I think it's super creative. Do they appeal to your emotions? Yes, definitely. Because it's a little boy crying and you can feel that his sorrow. You can feel his sorrow. It also appeals to your intellect. Think about it. You are clever. Don't use words that will hurt people. Here's another example that we're going to look at. There's a potato. Looks like a very cool potato. and it's lying on a yoga mat. Now, I hope most of you know what yoga is. Yoga is where you do flexibility exercises. And then the catchwords are, I'm even more flexible in the kitchen. So instead of being flexible as a human being that can move your arms and legs, the potato is flexible. And what does it mean is flexible? It means that you can do a lot of things with potatoes. Think about what your mom does with potato. You get potato chips, you get mashed potatoes, you get fried potatoes. So potatoes have a lot of potential. And that is how cleverly they use this. Very creative to portray a potato as a person doing yoga, and then to use the wording of more flexible in the kitchen. And once again here, appealing to your emotions or maybe to your reason, because you also know that potatoes aren't expensive and that's why you might buy it. The next thing that we must focus on with advertisements is the target market. Every single ad has a target market in mind. It means the group of people that they're trying to reach. And that could refer to age or to gender, to social status, and all the activities that you do. They use the fact that buyers classify themselves as a certain person. Think of yourself. Would you regard yourself as a cool person? I think most teenagers think they're very cool. So if an advertisement of clothing appeals to the coolness of a teenager, then it would convince you to purchase it. And that is how clever advertisers, cleverly they work. So let's have a look at a few pictures. The first one there, you have a stack of books. That refers maybe to a person reading a lot, or a librarian, or a teacher. That would be the target market. The second one is a lot of veggies and fresh fruit. Girls that are on diet might be interested in that picture. Or mothers who must purchase food for their children. Here's another one. There's a pot, a glass pot with brushes. Now that one could appeal either to a painter or to a makeup artist, because makeup artists also make use of such brushes. Here we have tools. So who uses tools? Could be your dad, who likes to do do-it-yourself jobs at home, DIY, or it could be interesting to a mechanic, person fixing cars. And the last picture is of a teddy bear with toys. So mostly mothers would be interested in that one. So I hope you understand now that you must look at the population, which target group, because it's always a question in the paper. Who do you think is the target group of this advertisement? And you might not necessarily be part of the target group, but you must be able to understand that the advertiser focuses the advertisement on a specific target group. Now we call these principles that advertisers use the AIDA principles. Now that's just an acronym that we've made up to help you understand the different things that advertisers do to get their message across. First of all, the first A stands for attention. So they must grab your attention. You're not going to look at a boring advertisement. You want to see something interesting. So your attention must be grabbed by something that they say. Then your interest must be sustained, because they want you to focus on the advertisement and to think more about it. Then the desire to obtain the product, to possess it, must also be created in the advertisement. And then lastly, the last A refers to action. They want you to get up from the couch and go somewhere and do something, either internet purchasing or going to the shops. Let's look at attention. This one immediately grabbed my attention because I'm a female. Because it says 1 step, 8 great benefits. That really, 8 benefits, and I only have to do one thing that is going to suit my pocket and my time. So they've captured my attention. I'm sorry, boys, I think most of these examples are more geared towards girls, but I'm sure you understand the message. This one grabs your attention because it's actually shocking. See, there's a fish hook, and what do we normally expect at the end of a hook? A fish. But this fish is dragging the kid. And look at the clever wordplay here. The average teenager spends almost 9 hours per day on social media. Get unhooked. So clever. And then the numbers are given there. So this is actually an advertisement that advertises a service. And you must remember that as well, because if they ask you what did the advertiser want to sell then in the exam, then you must understand that sometimes it's a product or sometimes they are selling a service. And this one refers to a service. But it grabbed my attention. They make use of a few attention grabbers. Like, for example, buy one, get one free. Don't tell me you're not caught by that one. Limited stocks. Oh no, if there are only 5 items left, I need one. I must go immediately to purchase it. The slides are moving quite slowly. Limited turn offers. Okay, it's only available until the end of the weekend. Our big stores love doing that. They have these specials, but you have to rush this weekend and stand in a long queue, otherwise you're not going to benefit from that. They give you money back guarantees. That could be a very persuasive argument, because if I can get my money back, then I could first see if I like the product. They sometimes say they give you the option of an easy payment plan. Lots of times they use this with furniture sales. Or they say you can get a discount for cash. Free gifts. Oh, isn't that nice? Yes, I want to purchase this. All right, I'm going to spend 1,000 Rand more now than what I normally would, but at least I'll have a free gift. That persuades people. It's an attention grabber. And then they use this one. Bargain of the century. Oh my word, that is, a century is 100 years. So it's the best bargain in 100 years. That's going to be awesome. Then you feel, I need that product. Clearance sales. All the time, these clothing shops have clearance sales where they just try and get rid of last year's stock. But we fall for that. It's a clearance sale. And reduced prices. The two are linked, the clearance sale and the reduced price. And then the last one, order immediately and get 2 items. And that will persuade people as well. All right, let's look at a real advertisement to grab your interest. It's another potato. I am not fattening. There's a perception out there that potatoes are fattening. And this potato says, I am not fattening. So people on diet or mothers, their interest would be grabbed because this is something good for my child or for me. Because there at the bottom it says the potato is something good something good that is good for you. So emphasizing the fact that potatoes are not fattening. Desire. In the human psychology, they have graded our desires from the basic desire, which means housing and food, to the top desire, which is emotional support. But they appeal to your basic desires or needs, and they hint that your desires will be met if you purchase their product. I've just given you a few pictures of things that people would love to have. A nice car, some flowers, a house. Many people would like to stay in their own house. Makeup, us girls again. Ooh, cell phones. I need that latest cell phone, otherwise I won't survive. Brand name clothing or handbags. And this is something where not only the girls are guilty at, boys as well. I've seen your name brand shoes and pants that you wear. Camera, maybe, and food. So these are the basic desires, and they appeal to our basic desires. And then action. They want you to act. Now, this is an example. This is an advertisement for online shopping. So they've just picked a few items to a washing line, and they say, if you want this, get it, shop online. And then they, at the bottom, give you the steps on how to go about obtaining this product by shopping online. What type of language do they use in advertisements? The language is much more informal. They might use something like, see you later, hey, what's up? There's a lot of things to do. Cut it out. You can see the abbreviations, the wrong language, but it's informal and it's done with a purpose because they want to appeal to everybody. So the vocabulary is less sophisticated. They make use of simple sentences, not long, difficult, involved sentences, sentences that you can understand the minute that you read it. They use informal grammar, like the examples there. They might use colloquialisms and slang. Now, you're not allowed to write a colloquialism or a slang when you do creative writing, but advertisers use it because it appeals to a certain target market. It's linked to that. Then they also make use of emotive language. Now, lately, you know, we've started to rather send emojis to express our emotions than typing it or telling it to people, which in a way is not really good. But you all know the emoticons. But emotive language refers to the fact that you appeal to a person's emotion rather than to his intellect. And it's persuasive because remember, right at the start I said the purpose of an advertisement is to appeal to your emotions and to persuade. They make use of facts and opinions, propaganda, sensationalism, and bias. So they're not always very honest in their advertising. And that is where you must, in real life, you must be able to discern between propaganda and something that's biased or not a fact but an opinion. They also use informative language because they want to inform you of the product or the service. And the language that they use will assist in selling the product. And then there's jargon that they use. Jargon is language that is applicable to a specific item. For example, if you talk about computers and if you refer to a mouse in connection with a computer, then we all know it's not a real life mouse running around. This will be the clicker that we use to navigate the computer. So in advertisement, we have terminology or jargon, and you must know the difference between the two. There's first of all the logo. That is a picture or a graphic that's used as an identifying symbol. If you, it acts as a signature for a brand. I want to show you a few of them. There's a picture of chips. That one we all know is the WhatsApp logo. That's a Coca-Cola logo. There's the Microsoft one. And that one is for pain medication. So if you see these logos, you immediately recognize the product. And it's very important. They try to get a logo associated with their product. Then we get slogans. That's a short, memorable phrase that is immediately associated with a brand. Like life's good, or just do it, or let's go places, or we try harder for you. We all know which products are being referred to when we hear these slogans. And then they use clever catchphrases. It's a clever and witty. Witty means it's funny, it's clever. They use puns to attract the attention of the public. And it does not necessarily appear in every advert. Think of the Nanos advertisements, they change constantly. For example, there's one that's also against bullying. Speak up, make a difference, speak out. National Anti-Bullying Prevention Month seminar. So it is a clever phrase. Speak up, make a difference, speak out. Because that's the biggest problem with bullying, is that people don't talk about it. There's another one I want to show you. Don't let your last text be your last words. So this is an advertisement against drinking and driving, because they say 75% of teenagers may lose their life because of texting, because the last text was the person's last words. And that's actually quite shocking. Then they also use clever wording, and they have to use clever wording because they need to get you interested. They must keep your interest. So they use alliteration, rhetorical questions, simile. Aha, I hope you have a light bulb moment now. Do you remember that this was discussed in last week's lesson in literature? Yes, because these things are figures of speech. And we discussed them extensively in the visual literacy, but they also appear in advertisements. You will also see figures of speech even in your comprehension test. So you must always be aware that these things are interlinked. I want to show you a few examples. I can just get the slide moving. Double thick, double delicious. You see the repetition of the D, that is the alliteration. Yeah, I'm still struggling with this tablet to get it moving. There. Same smoothness. There you have your alliteration of same and smooth. It emphasizes how smooth it is, and there's even the ness there at the end. And that one, another potato one, good for vitamins, good for kids, great for fingers, because you can easily eat a chip. It's not difficult. You don't need a knife and fork. So take note of this little picture here. The one you can ask the other one, what's the opposite of accidental? And then the chicken replies. The clever one, you can see his hat refers to him as a professor. Planned, intentional, deliberate, intended, premeditated, essential, expected, designed, decided. All those words are opposites, antonyms of accidental. And the reason why I show you this picture is because nothing is accidental in an advertisement. Every advertisement has a specific task or product that they want to sell. They have a purpose. So how do you answer advertisement questions? Each question usually contains a question word. Underline it. Underline the question word. Your teachers have told you, have given you a list of question words. Each question usually contains a key word or a key idea. Encircle the key word. The mark allocation is usually a suggestion of the number of points needed. And now think back to the presentation of visual literacy and comprehension that Nontando did, use the Peel method to answer the questions where you have to give an opinion. I hope you can still remember the acronym Peel. You give your point, you explain, you give an example, and you link it. And now you have enough knowledge to get 10 marks for your advertisement. So all these notes that I've discussed will link to the type of questions that you're going to get in the exam. And if you study these, and if you study your notes, if you think about the advertisement, you will get your 10 marks. Just remember to follow these steps. So now we're going to move on to cartoons, because cartoons also count 10 marks, or the question on cartoons, that's question 4. And you must also know a few basic things for cartoons. What is a cartoon? It's usually a humorously drawn picture accompanied by words. What is the purpose of cartoons? So why do we need cartoons? It's to portray an event that's in the news. If you were to look at any newspaper now, you will see lots of cartoons on the politics, on the election, and with caricatures of politicians and messages that they're bringing about, and things that happen out there. It's also to tell a story, just sometimes to give you some light amusement. That's why they tell you a story, or to express humor or ideas. Cartoons are actually very clever. And some people don't like reading cartoons, but cartoons are actually so good for you to read because you can actually think. You can discuss by looking at it. I just want to remind you that if you have questions about the advertisement or about the cartoon or the comprehension test, that you can send the question to the WhatsApp number 064 748 8913. That line is open. If you send a message there, you will get an immediate response. There's an expert sitting on the other end. All right, cartoons can also draw your attention to a situation or a well-known personality. And it highlights a current social or political issue. So some cartoonists are well known for their satire. They always make fun of politicians, and the politicians don't always love them, but they give us a message. So the aim of a cartoon is to inform, or to educate, or to entertain. So that's why we need to read cartoons. There are certain concepts in cartoons that you need to know in order to get your marks. First of all, the word cartoonist. That refers to the person who draws the cartoons. And they always focus on one type of character. You can recognize the different cartoonists by looking at the type of cartoons that they draw. A cartoon strip is a series of drawings where each separate drawing tells a part of the story. A frame is the separate drawing of a cartoon strip. And the punchline is the last few words or drawing of a cartoon which make it amusing or clever or both. That's the punchline. So now you can get either a cartoon in a single frame like this one. I'm just going to read it for you. Dear Andy, how have you been? Your mother and me are fine. We miss you. Please sign off your computer and come downstairs for something to eat. Love, Dad. So what is the message here? The cartoonist is actually giving us the sad situation of people not talking to each other because the parents miss their son and their son is upstairs busy on his computer. Then on the other hand, you can get a series of frames. This is from Madam and Eve. Madam and Eve is a very well-known series in South Africa, portraying lots of real life situations happening. So the granny is standing there and her handbag is being grabbed, and she jumps into a taxi and she says, "Follow that man." And then the cartoonist is actually making fun of the fact that people are on social media all the time, because the robber is showing them, "Follow me on Twitter." Obviously, they're following him in real life, but he is now instructing them to follow him on Twitter. So there's a pun there. It's humorous. It's making fun of the fact that even burglars will use Twitter to advertise their goods, and that is, of course, not really true. And then cartoonists make use of caricatures. That is a drawing that exaggerates or distorts. It makes something bigger or funny. Let's look at 2 examples. I hope you know this guy. This is Eddie Murphy. Look at his eyes and his ears. Big ears, big smile. So he has big ears, but not to that extent. But we can immediately recognize him. Then let's go to the other one. Yeah. Let me just close the screen again. There we go. This is Morgan Freeman. Always has a big smile on his face, and there it is enlarged. So one item, one aspect of a person's face or body is enlarged by the cartoonist. And then they use stereotypes. Now here I've given you stereotype examples just to show it's not a cartoon, it's real life photographs, but to try and explain to you what a stereotype is. It's a fixed or exaggerated and preconceived description of a specific type of person, group, or nation. And all these people are from different nationalities, and you can see that the message there is labels are for clothes. So don't put labels on people, accept people for what they are. But that's the problem with stereotype. We stereotype people and then we put them in boxes and we don't really regard them at face value. And then what is a key feature of the cartoon that you will always find? The text box. The text box sets the scene that gives you the background and the setting. The where and when. Like this one, it's Zitz and his mom. It says there on top is your setting. Zitz and his mom are in the kitchen. So you know where this cartoon is taking place and what is happening here. Just for some comic relief, let's read this one. Need any help, Mom? Yes, you can toss the salad. Toss the salad means you must mix everything together. What does he do? He throws it in the bin, because he understands toss to throw out. And then when the mother is shocked, he says, "But what was wrong with it?" He didn't understand her instruction. And that's why it's funny. Now, in cartoons, how do we see that people are talking? There are speech bubbles. You get thought bubbles. It has rounded edges and circles for a tail. If you see that one, you know the person is thinking. Speech is a bubble with a tail pointing to the speaker. Shouting has spiky edges or a spiky tail. And if you see the dotted lines, that refers to a whisper. Now, the characters in a cartoon are all acting. They're acting in some or other way. And you must interpret their actions by looking at their facial expressions and then symbols or lines that portray movement or emotion. Here's a little cartoon of Snoopy. He's kicking the ball. You can see there's his hand throwing there it shows you the ball is flying up. We see the little bird is running away. There's the falling action of the ball, and the poor bird is flattened. And then he says, I killed the bird. Very dryly, he comments on that. But this cartoon was just used to show you the action lines. Movement in cartoons are indicated by vertical, curved, and diagonal lines. You can see here, there's a ball thrown. It's diagonal. There are straight ones. The cat is throwing something, or he's falling over. Oh no, the mouse is kicking him. So let's look at this cartoon from Saperu. Children, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's the teacher asking them. So what is the normal answer you would expect to that? Some other career. This child puts up his hand and says, alive. I want to be alive when I grow up. So why would he say that? Because outside the window, there's a poster on the pole that says, another school murder. So murders happen often at schools. And you see two dangerous looking guys there with knives and guns. And of course, these children are scared. So the cartoonist will then either use irony, and then the answer to the question is not the answer the readers expect. That's why it is ironic. And the satire in this cartoon is that it is funny, but it shows a very serious topic, because schools that should be safe places are not safe. And that is how cartoonists use irony and satire in the... Now, a very important thing when we analyze cartoons is the body language. You're always going to be asked questions on body language, and learners can easily get all the marks for body language, but then they don't, because you only refer to what you see, but you don't interpret it. Remember, everything must be interpreted. So here's another cartoon from Zitz. Gasp, and oh my gosh, you can see the mother is shocked. So let's analyze her facial expression. Sorry, this technology. I must just, there we go. Her eyes, her eyebrows. Her mouth. So if you look at her eyes, they are very big. Her mouth is open. You can see that she is shocked. I don't seem to be able to move it. Must I talk? Okay. Sorry for this, learners. There was a little glitch here. We have to interpret the facial expression. So the question will be, how do you think the mother feels? And then she will, you must then answer, she's shocked because her mouth is wide open and her eyes are big. The double tap doesn't work. Sorry guys, we're just sorting out a technical glitch here. There we go. The hands, you must look at the hands and the position of the body. So if you look at her body, she's definitely leaning forward. It appears as if she's entering the room. So what she is seeing is shocking her. That's why her words also say, oh my language, pay attention to the eyes. The eyes usually show a lot of emotion. If the eyes are wide and big open, it usually shows surprise or fright. If they're small, then they portray anger. Eyebrows, note where the eyebrows are. If they are lifted, it's surprise, frown, then you are angry. And they work with the eyes. The mouth. The mouth is big and open. A smile, that's happiness. The mouth is turned down. It will mean the person is sad or unhappy. If it's wide open, it could be a shout, depending on the message in the cartoon. And the hands. Note how the cartoonist uses the hands. A fist will mean fighting or frustration. Open hand can mean friendship, or something like this could mean I don't know. You must interpret it in terms of the message of the cartoon strip. You must also look at the position of the arms. If the arms are folded over the chest, it means that the person is not interested. And this is actually something you can use in real life as well. If you're discussing something with a person and they fold their arms, then they're not that interested in what you're saying, or they feel threatened. So they're trying to protect themselves. If the body is leaning forward, it means the other person is moving into the other character's space and that the argument might ensue. But it will depend on the way that the person is leaning. You will always have to interpret it in terms of the cartoon as a whole. And then we just felt that we must explain emanata to you, because we see those in cartoons and then we don't really understand. They are the lines and squiggles that emanate from a cartoon character or an object, and it indicates a variety of a state of being. For example, a lot of question marks will indicate confusion. Zzz, they refer to sleeping. If you see those little symbols, it indicates anger. It's normally used to portray swearing, because they cannot swear. They can't use real swear words in a cartoon. They don't have enough words. That little thing there is called the light bulb. I hope you can see it. It's quite small. That shows it. If that is on top of a person's head, it will show, oh, he got an idea. And emanata are different from motion or speed lines, because they tell you about the person's state of being at that stage, his feelings. You must always interpret visual and verbal clues. A visual clue relates to what you can see. So it refers to body language, facial expression, posture, and the drawing itself. On the other hand, the verbal clues relate to what they say and how they say it. Let's see. When you analyze a cartoon, look at every single strip. Then you identify the visual clues and then you write notes. Then you identify after that the verbal clues and you also jot down notes. You have to do that. Remember, candidates, you have a long time period to complete your paper. You must divide your time wisely. We'll discuss that next week in more detail. But you must spend your full time on the cartoon in order for you to get the most marks. And so you go from frame to frame and you do exactly the same. What do I see here? What the visual clues? Which verbal clues can I pick up? Okay, let's look at this one for an example. There is a picture. The two teenagers are on opposite sides of the one in the middle. And the one in the middle has a huge mouth. His arms are outstretched and he says something weird like, ah. So what do we make of this? If we look at the visual, the character's eyes are wide open. One eye is bigger than the other. His mouth is wide open. His teeth and tongue are visible. And the size of his mouth has been exaggerated. His arms are in the air, and it shows that he is agitated or screaming. Which verbal clues do we see? The word ga, ah, is big, it's in another color. There are 5 A's and there's an exclamation mark. So that's your verbal indication that he is shocked or agitated or angry. It will depend on what the rest of the cartoon's message was. Okay, let's analyze another one's body language. There's a little boy, he's hitting nails into a table. I don't think he's allowed to do that because in the next picture his mum runs up to him. Calvin, what are you doing to the coffee table? And then he looks confused, in a confused way at what he has done. And then he looks up to his mom and says, is this some sort of trick question or what? So let's analyze it. The words are in bold, so they indicate loudness. Here there's a jagged speech bubble. It's bold print and there are question marks indicating shouting. So these are all the visual clues, the verbal clues. There's an asterisk, it indicates his confusion or his thought processes. Body language at the bottom. He's smiling, so he's very happy at what he is doing. The mom is hysterical. Her arms are outstretched. Her mouth is wide open. Her eyes are big. She's running. So that is a visual clue of how the mom is feeling. His facial expression, he has a blank facial expression. He's confused because he's looking at what he has done. And then, let's go back one. Her hands are on her head. It shows her despair. So they could ask you, how does her body language differ from the last frame to the second frame? Then here you must say her hands on her head, she's experiencing despair because his answer, she asked him what he's doing and then his answer actually surprised her because he feels his mother can see what he's doing. He's nailing the table. He's putting nails in the coffee table. And to him it's normal because he's a naughty boy. But to his mom it's just shocking. Now in cartoons we get humor, and they create humor by the use of irony, which is a sad or a strange situation in which things happen in the opposite way of what you would expect. They make use of sarcasm. That's when a person is saying or writing the opposite of what they mean, or speak in a way intended to make another person feel stupid or show them that you feel angry. They make use of puns. Puns means word games, clever wording. So a word that has two meanings or the same sound but with a different meaning, these words are used cleverly in cartoons to give us the humorous message. So how should you go about analyzing a cartoon? All your answers should be substantiated with close reference to the cartoon. You have to refer to the cartoon all the time. Don't grab things, don't assume, analyze. Pay careful attention to the body language of the characters and refer to their visible features. Remember that cartoons make use of puns, satire, sarcasm, and irony that need to be explained by referring to the cartoon. There are basic questions that you must ask when you are interpreting a visual text. First of all, look at the characters. Who are they? You will see the title of the cartoon and they will even give you the text box with information. You must describe their clothes. This you do now by yourself when you look at the cartoon. Describe their clothes to tell you what type of person each character is. What is each character doing? Look at the character's facial expressions and body language in each frame and try to understand it. The setting. You must know where are the characters, like that other cartoon where Jeremy and his mother were in the kitchen. You must understand that because that is part of the whole story that is being told. You must describe the setting to yourself. Words. Who is speaking? Which words have been emphasized and how? That will now be when they use bold or another color that we don't always see in exam papers, but especially for us, if we think of words, is bold, exclamation marks, and then humor. Explain why this cartoon is funny. Now, this is normally the higher order question, and learners really struggle with this because we're from different backgrounds. People don't always understand the humor of a cartoon. But try to put yourself in the place of the cartoonist and think of why he would have drawn up that cartoon, because his intention would have been that there must have been something funny in the cartoon. Then you must also look at the actions. What is happening in the cartoon? And how is the action portrayed? Movement lines, driving. You must be able to see what the characters are doing. Then you must look at the characters. What emotions are communicated through facial expressions? And what actions and emotions are communicated through body language? What's the difference between facial expressions? Facial expressions simply the way that eyes, mouth, ears pulled up. And body language is position of arms, position of legs, position of head. That refers to body language. And then what does the body language suggest about the relationship between characters? Because you can clearly see whether they like each other or whether they're angry with each other or whether there's an argument. Language. What words have been used? And how has punctuation been used to suggest emotion? Punctuation in cartoons play a very important role. The setting, once again, where and when is the cartoon set? And what is the particular social context? That's very important that you must try and understand that in order to understand the message of the cartoon. Because remember, I said the cartoonist has a purpose in mind when he designed that cartoon. And then stereotypes or symbols. Has the cartoonist made use of stereotypes? Let me just give you one example of a stereotype. I'm blonde. So the perception out there is blonde girls are stupid. That's of course not true. I'm definitely not stupid, but that is the stereotyping of people, of blondes, that they will say and do stupid things. A symbol, has the cartoonist used any symbol to represent something? Especially those of you who has history as a subject as well. In your cartoons that you have to analyze, you mostly get single cartoons. There might be a symbol of something, a flag of a country or an item that is important to that country and that era, and you will be asked to interpret that. So you must look at the symbols in a cartoon. All right, learners, I've come to the end of my discussion of visual literacy. We've discussed advertisements, for which I'm sure you can now get 10 marks. And I hope after this explanation of cartoons, you can also get 10 marks. And you still have time to quickly send through questions to 064 748 8913. But I have good news for you, because on the 27th of October is your big day. That's the day when the exam starts officially for most of you. It's your first paper. It's a big paper. Everybody's writing on the 27th of October. But we are going to assist you, because we will meet here again on the 26th of October. You will later be informed of the time of the broadcast. And what are we going to discuss? The contents of the presentation will focus on the layout of paper 1, and we're going to reinforce the comprehension test. Our focus today was more on the reading strategies that you must now start applying at home when you read. Even when you read other subjects, notes for other subjects, you must use the same techniques. Think of a text as an iceberg, that there are different levels that you must understand. We are going to discuss the summary because we haven't done any summary work up to now. So we'll go through the summary with you so that you get your marks for summary. We will just highlight a few pointers for visual literacy. And then we're also going to focus on the language and editing section because that section counts 20 marks and you can easily score good marks in that section. But we don't find that learners know how to respond to those questions very well. So we're going to try and assist you to improve on that aspect as well. So learners, please now don't waste your time this weekend. Make use of the time to really study, to practice. Go through the notes, use the additional booklets that the department provided to you, the notes that your teachers gave you. Really work hard and remember to maintain social distancing, to sanitize all the time and regularly, and to wear your masks. Please don't party this weekend. Please study this weekend. Goodbye.